What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and today we're going to be talking about two of my favorite red dot options that are basically very inexpensive. These are both going to be sub $200 options, and you're going to have a couple different options to choose from. So we're going to be talking about the Sig Romeo 5 and then the Holosun 403. So let's get into it. So the reason why we're talking about this as an option is because I know not everyone has the money or wants to spend the money on like the main brand optics, like the $500 and up optics, and that would be my three favorites for those are Trijicon, Aimpoint, and EOTech. But I know those can get up there in price, and depending on what your situation is, it may not be justifiable, and I totally understand that. So like even with like my friends and family that want to get into guns, I ask them when the budget comes into play, like what are you planning on using the gun for? How often are you planning on using it? If you're only going to use it like once or twice a year, you honestly probably don't need a $500 plus option, because that's a lot of money to just sit there and do nothing. So I think in that case, a $200 or less option could be probably the better way to go. There's definitely a reason, like a logical reason, to choose a sub $200 option. And if you want to buy the nicer stuff, then buy the nicer stuff. I'm a big fan of that too, but this is specifically going to be talking about these options. So over here, I have two Sig Romeo 5s, and then over here we have some Holosuns. We'll start with the Sigs first. So we're going to do this one first. This is the basic Sig Romeo 5. I have it on a Chris Vector here, chambered in 45. And again, I think there's definitely times and places for the low price optics. So I'd say my main purpose for having these on these specific guns is these are more of like fun range guns to me. They're not necessarily anything I would choose for self-defense. Not that you couldn't use them, like this gun is perfectly capable, 45 is a great round, and honestly the red dot I would say is quality enough to use it in that scenario, but I definitely like some nicer stuff. So I'd say most of my home defense setups have the Aimpoint, EOTech, or Trijicon options on there. But again, I'm not knocking these for that. I just like running them more on my fun range toys. So the Chris Vector has always kind of just been a fun gun to me. I run it suppressed, I run it unsuppressed, and it's really nice. And with the Sig Romeo 5, it's held zero pretty well. I've never had to re-zero it since day one, and we got maybe 500 to 1,000 rounds to it. So it's not a crazy high round count for a gun. I mean, that's more than a lot of people put on their guns, but yeah. The Sig Romeo 5 also looks really good on the Vector. So again, this is chambered in 45. It looks sick with the 30 round Chris mag in there. And I've done a video on this gun before, and yeah, it's a really good option. I really like it. I like red dots on pistol caliber carbines or subgun setups because it's just fast acquisition. And when you look through these, I mean, they're basically all just a red dot. I don't have any with the dot and the circle reticle. These are all just red dots, besides this one that's a green dot. But yeah, with this, you have two buttons on top. I really like the buttons to turn it on and off. And then it takes a 2032 battery, which is the flat battery, and that goes in the side here. So I like the Sig Romeo 5. I do not like the Sig Romeo MSR. That is where you have the little dial, I think it's on the top. And the reason why I don't like that one at all is because the dial is a pain to turn. I don't know if it breaks in over time, but like showing people these in our store, like when I open a new package and put the battery in, it is such a pain to turn on and off. And it's not like where you can just go from like 0 to 11. You have to go from 1 all the way to the end, and it's just a kind of a pain dial. So that's just me nitpicking it. I think those are $100 or less in the Sig Romeo 5. I wrote it down here. The Sig Romeo 5 is $118 on Amazon right now. I just checked all these prices today as I recorded this video, May 20th. So $118 for a Sig Romeo 5. Honestly, I wouldn't go any less than that. I understand there are like those sub $50 options, but especially one, if you're putting it on an expensive gun like this, you can justify 120 bucks in my opinion. But even if you're buying like a $300 gun, spending 120 bucks on a red dot is not a bad option. And trust me, you don't want to constantly have to re-zero your optic, or you zero it one day, you take it out the next day to shoot with your friends and you can't hit anything. You don't want that. So invest in this $118 optic and you'll at least be able to hit the target every single time you go out. For most of these guns, I zero them at about 25 yards. Now for the bigger platforms like the AK style, I use these zero targets. So at zero, you're basically shooting at 25 yards to zero them for 100 yards, and I'll get more into that in a sec. But yeah, I don't need anything past a 100 or a 25 yard zero for this gun. But if you go watch my video on this, I was shooting 50 to 100 yards, no problem with the 25 yard zero. I'm gonna do all the poppers. So open them all and then close them all. And then we'll start top to bottom. Get in there. 50 yards. Hundred yards. So again, that's the standard Sig Romeo 5 for $118 on Amazon. And then I had a little cap here. I don't know where I put it, or maybe I left it in the room, but yeah, very nice option. And then basically the same thing, we have the Sig Romeo 5 tread. And looking these up, they're basically the same. This one just has tread on the side. This is a CMMG Banshee Mark 47 Mutant. It's like 3 words. I always used to know them as the Mutant. The lower's always been stamped MK47, but now this pistol version is stamped Banshee. So yeah, it's the Banshee MK47 Mutant. But it's basically an AR chambered in 7.62 by 39. This is fairly new to the collection, and I took it out a couple weekends ago and got it zeroed, and it was my first time shooting it. But I threw the Sig Romeo 5 on there because, again, it's a less expensive option. To me, this is just going to be a fun gun. I was not running it suppressed yet. I want to get an alignment rod and make sure everything's good before I shoot it suppressed. But yeah, Sig Romeo 5 looks really good on there. And another good option would probably be this tan Holosun. But I basically only buy these used because you figure this one on Amazon right now is $138 because you're paying for that tread logo on there, which the tread is their, they do it on a variety of platforms, but I mainly know it on like their Sig M400 tread. So it's just like one of their models. But the Romeo 5 tread versus the standard Romeo 5, I think it's the exact same minus that logo. So I'd save the money and buy that one for 118 bucks. But yeah, I basically only buy these things used because used they're all like $100 or less. And we get them in our store all the time if you're ever looking for one. But yeah, so I mainly buy used. So it makes it easy for me to kind of set up a gun inexpensively if I'm buying used optics, and we get so many used optics through our store. So I did not buy any of these brand new, but yeah, I got it zeroed on there and it was pretty spot on. I have the target right here. I'll show you guys a close-up of it and basically how I get it zeroed, but first rounds were on the bottom right, and it looks like my girlfriend said she was there. And then you can see group 2 is a little bit wider, but it's near the bullseye. Group 3 is more to the right, and then group 4 is very close to the bullseye. But then I also write if I do anything after. I moved it 1 click left after group 4, and then I didn't reshoot it because that should get me spot on. And then the way I've been zeroing is very, like, not very scientific. I basically just use this black range bag. I propped the gun on there on my table, and I didn't even have a chair when I went out to zero that. So it's not like very precise, but it's definitely good enough. And I think it's good to know how to zero your gun with kind of minimum stuff needed. Like a bench would be nice, but it's not required for what I do. So again, just zeroed it at 25 and it's pretty accurate. And then we'll talk about the Holosuns. So, and the main reason why we're talking Sig and Holosun is because that's all I have. Other good options would be Vortex makes good red dots. I hear great things about Primary Arms. I've had some Vortex red dots. I've just sold them over the years or traded them for different things. I haven't owned anything from Primary Arms yet, so I know there are other good options on the market. This is just what I have right now. So we'll start with this one. So this is a Holosun 403, and this one specifically is the GL, HS403 GL. I looked it up and it looks like they're discontinued, but it's just a red dot Holosun. This one was an Optics Planet exclusive, even though it doesn't say OpMod on there. A lot of theirs does, but yeah, looking it up, it was an Optics Planet exclusive and it was about 200 bucks. But you can buy a 403B, which is the same thing. It's got the buttons on top. You can buy a 403B in flat dark earth or in black for 150 bucks right now on Amazon. So you can basically get that for 150 bucks on Amazon, and if you have a tan gun, it looks really good. This is a Strybog SP9A1. I haven't shot this in quite a while. It's a fun subgun, but I have a bunch of other ones that I shoot a little bit more. But these were a pretty inexpensive option at the time. Right now, I don't know exactly what they're going for, but I got this one pretty inexpensive. It's got the tail hook brace on there. It's got an 85-degree angled grip on here. I know it looks more straight, but the company marketed it as an 85-degree angled grip. So that all came with the gun. The only thing I put on here was this Holosun, but again, 150 bucks brand new for a 403B in tan. You could probably find a used one for 100, 125 bucks, and it looks really good on an all flat dark earth gun. And The reason why I like Holosuns a lot, because they basically look like Aimpoint clones, and I think they all use Aimpoint mounts. But Holosun ships with a high mount and a low mount for most of their stuff. So you can run a low mount on something like this, or a high mount on something like that. So I really like that, especially for the money. So 150 bucks and you get a nice Holosun. Between the Holosun and the Sig, I like them both pretty equally. I think I'm gonna lean more towards the Holosun, just I kind of like the looks a little bit more. It's just aesthetics, but performance-wise, they're basically the same. So, also, this is hollow right here, so I can flip up these iron sights and actually use them through that. Where the Sig Romeo, it's a little bit more like enclosed, I guess, but it's not bad. And this one might actually sit taller. I haven't really looked at them side by side. No, they look very similar, just you have a way bigger opening in the Holosun versus the Sig. So yeah, I think looks wise, I kind of like the Holosun a little bit more, but again, they're both really good options if you're looking for an inexpensive red dot. So this is the 403 GL. Like I said, it's discontinued, but you can get the 403B in tan, which is basically the same thing. And then same thing with this one. This is a 403A, and they discontinued this too, but it looks like the 403B would be the updated version of this. And again, it's 150 bucks whether you buy it in black or tan, and they should come with the low mount and the high mount. So I run the low mount on an AK like this because your stock sits lower. So when you're putting your cheek on there, it sits much lower, so you'd want the lower height. I mean, you could put it higher, like AR height, but then you're lifting your head up. So, and that looks pretty sick. This is a 7.62 by 39 Arsenal, and I zeroed it once, and it has held zero over the years. It's not like a gun that goes out to the range all the time, but anytime I've shot it, it's been accurate. So I do like it. I don't mag dump, so the rail doesn't get like extremely hot, but I would assume this thing will hold up. And Holosun has a pretty decent warranty, so I've never had to send anything back, but I know some people have had to get their stuff warranted, and they do a pretty good job of it. But yeah, 403 looks good on there. And then, if you guys watch some of my more recent videos, I took this Galil out to the range. It's funny is that video got demonetized, and I've noticed anything that gets demonetized on my channel, meaning they don't run like any paid ads on it really, unless it's YouTube Premium, that gets significantly less views. So this was demonetized and it only got like 200 views. This was demonetized, it got like 300 views. But then if something gets monetized, I get a few thousand views on there. So go check out my videos on stuff like this. I think I'm gonna make an album on my channel for just demonetized videos so people have a way to find stuff that I thought would have been a cool video, but it didn't get a lot of traction because YouTube doesn't like it. But I basically built this Galil RPK. So an RPK is kind of like a beefed up AK with a bipod and big barrel. And I thought this Galil would look really good as a miniature RPK. And just because it's a fun gun, I put a 403C in green on here. So I think the C just means it's the solar powered one versus the top button one. So it's got the buttons on the side, still battery powered as well. It just does solar and battery powered. And again, this one's green. And on Amazon right now, this is $186 for the green or $170 for the red. So, and if you watch the video, I basically mag dumped, not the whole drum at once, but I mag dumped the drum and it was pretty freaking accurate. All right, going hot. Whew. How's the dust on the camera? All right, we're gonna just send it. And I'll show you the target on here too. This one only has 3 shots on it. I did zero it on another piece of paper, but then I put a lot more holes on it trying to zero the laser, which I got the laser pretty close during the daylight, but that paper was just too much. So I like having things on paper that they're zeroed, but it's a pretty good group. And with both of these paper targets, it was my first day out with each of these guns for the CMMG and this Galil. So first day range trip, they're zeroed, and I'd say they're accurate enough. Again, they're just fun guns for me, but yeah, I think it looks pretty sick. We also have the Holosun green laser on here, which I think is also about 200 bucks, but lasers are less important. I'd say focus on the red or green dot itself. I just got that because they both came into our store at the same time, and it looks sick on here. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys some less expensive options. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get a good functional gun, but I also wouldn't recommend spending the least amount of money because then you get something that may not be quality or may not hold up over time. So Over the years, this is probably my oldest Holosun. Well, this one and the one on the Strybog, they've both held up great. And then the Romeo on the Vector has held up pretty great too. These two are my most recent ones, but I don't see myself having any issues with them. So yeah, I can say I like them, and yeah, give them a try. Go check out my other videos, and yeah, I'll make an album of all my demonetized videos, which I don't know why they do that, but I think they're pretty cool videos, so go check them out. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.